Who is Nikki Gibson?
That's the first question.
That's the first question.
Wow. No warning, no nothing. Just jump right in. Well, I'm your older sister. Much older,
That's
as
right.
you like to say.
A much
older
older
sister. That's how he introduces me. I'm a mother, a wife, grandmother, a Pipsy. Not grandmother, Pipsy. Too young to be grandmother. Grandmother. Or as my dad likes to call me, Meemaw. I am the executive pastor here at Word Alive, and I like to go kayaking. I like to do, how much you want to know? What is it? It's a big old question, and you have to tell in a nutshell who you are.
Do you feel like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are as far as doing what you feel like you're called to do right now?
If you'd asked me that even as short as 3 years ago, I would have told you 0. But right now, I feel probably 9. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I found myself probably just in the last 3 years, more so than any time in my life. Just stepping into, just not saying no. I've stopped saying no to things. I take that back. I've learned my no. I've learned when to say no. But when it's something that you're stepping out to, something new, I've learned to just say yes and try it. Give it a try. Step out and just see what happens. And I've grown a lot in the last 3 years, I could say, just from doing that. Just from stepping into the unknown or the uncomfortable, not limiting myself. And it's opened up a whole world of things for me. And it's helped me walk into who I'm supposed to be. I feel more comfortable in my skin, I can say that, than I have in my whole entire life right now.
So I have the unique perspective of being your brother and also watching you grow through family and professionally. And I wouldn't, from my point of view, I feel like you've always been doing what you've called to do, what you've been called to do, but you're just now moving into, I guess, what you've always dreamed of. And you didn't know that was your dream, maybe.
I did not. This is nothing that I even thought.
I feel the same way. I'm in the same situation. But I can see through the stages of your life, even through your careers and professionally, how you've learned stuff, and it's all been stepping stones. You've never went I don't think you've ever went backwards. It's always been going up. I'm sure there's times where it felt like you went backwards for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it probably looked like that at the time for everybody. But I don't think you'd be where you are without those stepping stones. Would you agree with that, you think?
I would, absolutely, yeah. All the stuff, all the crud that you have to go through, all the craziness and the ups and downs and turmoil, and I wouldn't change any of it. There's been some hard things that we've gone through, and it's family and all of it, but I think it's all proven to be that next step. Like, okay, I got through that. We did okay. We've learned from it. Take what you learn, throw out the waste and the bad part of it, and move forward. So I would agree with that. There's been times I felt like, whoa, that was 10 steps back, but in hindsight, seeing, no, that was just the next level. And it feels like that sometimes when you're going, especially when you're making big jumps, it feels very unsteady and unsure, so you feel like you failed or you've gone backwards or slacked off or whatever. But it for sure has always propelled me forward.
How close do you feel like you are with what you're doing now as far as working with the church, helping run a recovery program, teaching classes to recovery students? How close do you feel like you are now to what you thought you would be growing up?
Night and day. They're completely opposite planes. I was not one to say I'm going to college, I'm going to be this and this career, whatever. I always wanted to be, of course, a mother, housewife. I wanted to be a good wife. I always had those desires and accomplished those. But at a very young age, starting at 13, I thought, I'm a children's minister. That's what I'm going to do. That's who I am. That's my calling. No doubt about it. Was very successful in it. I've ministered. I've still got hundreds of children. Well, they're grown with their own grown kids. I'm not going to tell my age because I know I'm much older than you, but but you still run into them and see the impact and the things that were done. And so I can take pride in that and know that I did a good job. But I was just set on this is it. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I was fine with that. That was perfectly fine. I loved it until it wasn't. And that's when one of those 10 steps back felt like when I pulled out of children's ministry unexpectedly. And I was like, okay, Lord, what in the world is happening? This is my whole life. And it's just blown up. He knew what he was doing. He knew what was coming around the corner and the things that I would have to go through, and some more of those stepping stones to get me to the right place at the right time. But for sure, that's where I thought I'd be permanently. Now coming into this, and I tell our recovery students all the time, I teach a parenting class for them, and I tell them, I swapped the littles for the adult children. It's basically what it feels like sometimes when you're dealing with recovery. They've got their traumas, their things, their immaturities, their growth, their learning, and just learning how to cope and deal with life. So it's kind of the same role, but it's on a whole different level. And I found when I'm ministering and teaching with them and the feedback and the things that we get to do with them, I can truly say this is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in ministry, is working with our recovery people. Loved children's church years, loved the ministry to the families and all of those things. And I dive into VBS every year just to get that itch scratched, because I still have such a heart for that ministry. But for sure, this is the most rewarding. I just constantly am being rewarded, and even in the hard times, the outcomes they're still just, again, taking me level by level, and it feels like I'm just coming up each time that I get to minister and see a life changed in that regard for the recovery.
So part of what you do, you mentioned you teach parenting classes to the recovery students. Mm-hmm. You have some experience in parenting. If this is too much, we can edit it out.
No. I'm an open book.
You went through some challenges in your daughter's early teenage years.
We did.
You want to talk a little bit about that and
Sure.
how you got through that? And
yeah, well, that was the moment when I kind of was jerked out of children's ministry and didn't understand why. And I'm like, God, why would that be a thing? Just all of a sudden, I was full-fledged, doing great. We had, on any given Sunday, we were ministering to 300 children. And that was my responsibility to make sure that happened. And it was beautiful, had 80 volunteers. We were just thriving. And all of a sudden, boom, I'm out of it. And I couldn't understand why. I'm like, Lord, what in the world are you doing? And I continued here at the church. I went into the finance department and hid, basically. Went up to the office, did some administrative stuff, and said, okay, this is what I'm doing now. That's fine. Was a little hurt. My feelings were hurt. Just you ministry, and you go from that, a thriving ministry, to I'm just doing it admin. And so I had to do some healing in that. But during that time, within about a 2-year period, we went through the parenting part of it, the hardest thing that we've ever done as far as being parents and parenting Alana. She ended up having a baby. She was pregnant, got pregnant at 15, had her at 16, and we didn't know the entire time that she was pregnant. It was a shock to all of us. It was a big change for our whole family.
I'll never forget that night.
Whole things that we had to do. I was here at the church. We were having Benny Hinn's birthday up at Kent and Bev's house. Mm-hmm. And so Darren had stayed home because Alana was going over to Mom's house, and they were going to decorate the tree, do all that stuff. Alana's like...
SEC championship,
all the things were happening. And so Darren was like, I'm not missing this. You go to Benny's thing. And so I was there by myself, went and came home. And Darren said, Alana's in the bedroom, and she's hurting. Her stomach's cramping and all of that. And I was like, oh, goodness. Like right here at Christmas, she must have caught a bug, whatever. And so I went in, and she said I had some Papa John's pizza, and I drank some Coke, which she doesn't drink dark liquids like that, and she hates Papa John's pizza. It messes all of us up. So I thought, well, it's just a stomach ache. I asked her to go, just go in the bathroom, see what's going on. If we need to go, she was crying, which was my first cue, because she does not cry. She's a tough little chick, and she does not. I knew she was hurting as much pain as she was in if she was crying. So I would say within 10 minutes, I go in and she's sitting unconscious on the toilet, and I found out that we have a grandbaby. That's how we were introduced to even know that she was pregnant or anything was even going on. So it was a big turning point and big shock. Thank the Lord, Darren at the time was practicing respiratory therapy. He was able to go in, get her, clear her airway, and he's over there cooing and cawing and, hey, baby, and, doing the things while I'm in shock. Alana and I both were in shock. But, yeah, we went through that whole thing. And I realized I was very angry after that. Like, not at Alana, not at anything of the situation. Just, I was really upset with the Lord. Like, how I'm a children's minister, for crying out loud. I've ministered to hundreds of families. I've seen lives change. I've helped parents walk through these kinds of things. And this is my reward. That's where I landed in it. Darren was totally opposite. Darren's like, this is a blessing. How can you be upset? And I'm like, I'm not upset at the situation or that. And I love my grandbaby. I love Alana. It's not that. It's just the disappointment. And what it was pride. My ego and my pride had been hit. And the worst possible thing happened to a children's minister that could possibly happen. And now I'm discredited in everything that I've ever done. And I found myself wallowing in that for a good couple months. And I remember one night sitting on my porch, and I poured myself a big old glass of wine. I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do, because this is where I'm at, then that's fine. And I'm done with you. I'm done. And the Lord said, are you? If I've ever heard him talk to me out loud, audibly, that's what I heard is, are you good? I was like, well then, fine. Take me a big old drink, and this is what I'm going to be from now on. I'm done. I'm finished ministering. I'm finished with everything, and I'm done serving you, basically, is what I had decided. And when I sat there for a few more minutes doing in my own whatever. Like we do, I heard him say, are you lifting a finger for this child? Are you raising this baby? Are you having to do anything but be Pipsy to this grandbaby? And I started thinking I had to really self-reflect and say, you know what? No. He said, that's because you did what you were supposed to do. You did what I told you to do. You've taught parenting classes based on the things that I instructed you to do for your daughter, and you raised her in those. And because you did that, when this happened, she's totally equipped and ready to go. I didn't have to call her school counselor. She called her counselor. She got herself through high school and finished it. She went and got her a job the next week. She worked and bought her own diapers. I got to be nothing but Pipsy. Of course, she lived with us for a while. We helped her while Logan was getting his training and stuff in military. Father was in the, Marines, and just in the throes of that basic training and all of that was happening at the same time. So he wasn't present and wasn't there. We encouraged him to continue in doing that. And I mean, if I could have picked a person for her, it would be him. They're a perfect match. And it's all turned out beautifully. But it took me a second to swallow my pride and to realize this is not about me. It's not about ministry or any of that. And God's not done with me yet. That wasn't the end of my story. That was just a moment when he had to say, step down. Because had I been a children's minister in that moment with these 300 kids coming in and serving all of those families, it could have looked a lot different. And it was the Lord, they say he puts you under his wing. And it was that time. And sometimes that doesn't look like you think it does. The protection. Yeah, the protection and the covering. But that's exactly what he was doing. He was putting us under his wing and saying, hey, something's about to happen. It's coming along. So let me cover you in this and protect you while you're walking through this. And then on the other side of it, I'm going to bring you. And again, it felt like 4,000 steps back. Mm-hmm. But it was really 2,000 steps forward and just kept building from there, leading me to where we're at now. Me and Darren. I mean, we're both in ministry now and be able to do. That was always the dream, was both of us being able to minister side by side. We're a great team.
For sure. Wow. How many people, I know it's countless, but how many times do you think you've been able to use that story and experience to help people in your parenting classes or in everyday life that have been through similar things that feel like they've failed as a parent? We've been kind of taught that growing up, taught that in Christianity, unfortunately, that it's we always look to the parent.
Yeah.
And, like when kids are going to make their own choices,
sure,
we do what we can.
Yeah.
And but how many times do you think, or do you think you'd even be able to be as effective in the parenting classes without experiencing that?
Probably not. That's been a huge testimony and a big, especially with the recovery, because I've not lived that life in that world. So I'm like, how do I relate to them?
Mm-hmm.
How can I possibly relate to them? Because I've not lived a life of addiction, and I don't know what that is. And unless you've been in it, I see it. Unless you've been there, you can't truly connect and really relate. And so that's part of the story where they can say, okay, she's been through some trauma. She's been through some things too, that now she's going to be able, on the back end, be able to, and now I can relate in some way. And so it's helped me exponentially, especially in the parenting classes, just to be able to relay that and to come out victorious on the other side and say, hey, that wasn't the end all be all. It could have been the end of it. And I tell that in the parenting classes. I took that curriculum and I stuffed it in a drawer and I was like, done, not touching it again. And then I had one of the ladies that years before that had gone through our Esther House program and actually took the parenting certificate that I gave them at the end of the class, and she took it to court with her and got her kids back.
Wow.
And she came to me years later. They were looking for somebody. They were like, do you know of anybody that does parenting classes? Asking her. And she said, I know the perfect person. And she came to me that Sunday. And this is shortly after all this came about. And I'm kind of coming back to myself and, okay, ministry might not be done. And things were starting to open up again. And she said, Miss Nikki, you have to teach the parenting classes for them. Like, it helped me so much. And so then I knew, I was like, that was the Lord saying, dust it off, pull it out, go back through it. I actually went back through it and rewrote some stuff because I realized, looking at way back then when I wrote it, my experiences changed my views and my hard thoughts on some things.
Sure.
And so I had to rewrite some of it and reconfigure it to match where I'm at now. But yeah, I use that story every time. That's how I start the parenting classes, is that story and my testimony in it and my journey as a parent. And Alana has even used it. She's used it to help so many of her friends.
I've heard her use it for sure.
Yeah, she's not ashamed of it, not afraid to tell it. Anna Lee knows. When she comes to my house, she's like, this is the toilet, Mom. This is the bathroom. I'm like, oh my Lord. But it's just that real. They're very real and honest with her about this is how it happened, you know. And I think that's important. Be honest and open, and don't shy away from it just because it's uncomfortable or it's weird or it's different or scary. Be honest, and I think that's, as far as parenting, that's kind of been my, just say it what it is. If they're asking the question, they know the answer probably. They're just looking to see if you're going to be honest with them and tell them the truth. And if not, they're going to go find it somewhere else, and that's definitely not what you want.
So now, walking in what you feel like you're called to do, what advice would you have for somebody your age, much older than me, that is still feeling like they're not there yet?
Still looking for that calling, and is it ever going to happen?
And I think my opinion on that is, in my personal life, there's been times where I didn't know I was walking in my calling at the time, but I was.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where I knew I should be doing stuff that I wasn't yet, that I knew I should be doing. And when I started doing those things, then things shifted, and I felt like I was more aligned with what I was supposed to be doing. What would you say to people that are in those situations?
God's not done with you yet. It doesn't matter. There's no. I tell them in the class, even as young as you can be or as old as you can be, there is no junior Holy Spirit. There is no levels of Holy Spirit. It's just Holy Spirit, and He can do with you whatever He wills and whatever He wants. It's usually us having to get out of our own way, and to just allow yourself to do that. Just allow yourself to, step back, pull. I told somebody just yesterday after class, and he's like, saying kind of the same thing. I feel like I've got all these talents, I've got all these things. I know I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm just afraid to step into it, or I think it's the Holy Spirit. I think it's the Lord telling me this, but how do you know if it's me or Him or the devil or, who's talking to you? And I told him, I said, look, if it's something that's obvious, if it's something that's positive, it's going to bring a positive outcome. It's not Satan. It's not the enemy. He's not going to ever do that. But determining if it's you or not, usually I just step out, no matter how foolish, no matter how silly, because I'd rather look stupid for 2 seconds than to live a lifetime of regret of not stepping into the thing that I feel really strongly that the Lord has told me to do. And I've learned that the hard way. I've regretted, and I've got those regrets where you hang on to them and don't do them and you miss the opportunity. And sometimes God will bring them back around. But I've also watched times when I didn't step into it and someone else got the opportunity and they flourished and thrived in it. And I'm like, that was mine. That was mine to have, and I missed it. So that was just kind of the advice that I just gave one of our students was don't miss it. Even if you feel like you're going to look stupid or you're going to mess it up, you might. But God's got you and he's going to cover you in it. But don't miss the opportunities. Take them. No matter how scary or how off-putting or uncomfortable it is, just do it. Put yourself out there. What you got to lose?
Yeah, I think he gives us those desires too. I think a lot of times we struggle with, is it our desire or the Lord's? But if we're trying to do what's right and walk in his righteousness, usually he's put those desires.
Yes.
And then we look back on our lives and see we've had those desires our whole lives.
Yeah.
And then we definitely know it's from him.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you see in your future? What do you feel like? Do you feel like there's anything else?
I don't know.
Step in the...
I don't know if I can take anymore. No, it's everybody laughs about that, the hats that I wear, and like I got one of the recovery students calls me a chameleon. He's like, "What are you today? Who are you today?" He calls me chameleon, and Dan always teases me about how many hats. We need to get you just a wall of hats. You just put on different hats for whatever you're doing at the moment and swap it out. And it's true, I do a lot, but there's a grace on it, and that's another thing that I've learned through all of this is. When I left children's ministry and then someone else took over, I tried to come in and help, and I found myself very frustrated in it and aggravated. And it's not that they were doing anything wrong or right or the grace was lifted off of that, and the Lord was saying no. I took that on purpose, like stop trying to insert yourself back into something that's comfortable, because that's not where you belong anymore. And so I had to step back and say, hey, that there's just no grace on this, and it's not fun when you're trying to force something. And it just doesn't work out. It starts falling apart, and then you get frustrated and aggravated, and even when you feel like it's the thing you're supposed to be doing. And so I've just kind of learned that if what I'm doing right now, yes, it's a lot, and yes, it's always something and something different. I never know from day to day what I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to find myself in. Again, trying to say yes to the opportunities. But when the grace is lifted, I know, okay, it's the time for the next thing. It doesn't have to be a whole mourning process, a whole anger. It doesn't have to get me up in arms or destroy me. It's just simply, okay, there's something next. And that's what I've come to understand is God's always got the next step, the next thing, he's always taking you from glory to glory. So if this glory is done and the grace is off of it, then what's next? And I can start looking toward that. But there's been a total grace on what I'm doing, and that's the only reason why I've been able to do all that I'm doing is because there's that grace there that just, I don't get tired. There's not yes, there's frustrating moments. Yes, there's times and things happen and, circumstances you have to deal with. That's just anything. But it's never I actually get up and say, I get to get up. I get to go to work. I get to see my recovery. I get to see the things that are going to happen today, what life's going to change, what's going to happen. I wake up with expectation. And when I stop doing that, then I know the grace is gone and there's something else for me, and I can move on to that and let go easily of whatever it is that I feel is my thing, because this may not be it. If it is, I'm perfectly fine with it. But if it's not, and there's more, or there's something different, then I want that.
I tell people that every day. I'm a coffee guy right now, but I may move back to Peru next week, or may go play drums again. I don't know.
Go on the road and play drums.
I often think, I wonder, like, if I would have not wallowed in self-pity when I thought things weren't going the way I thought they were supposed to be. For instance, right when we moved back from Peru, I had to go back to painting houses for a while.
Yeah.
At the same time while starting the coffee business, and that was just miserable.
Yes.
Just out there in the hot sun. Not that I don't mind hard work. I'm still do it now, but just knowing that I had this
there's a whole
going
big
straight
calling
from missions back into painting houses, which seemed like it was
10 steps back. 20,000, yeah.
I wonder if it would have moved faster if I would have not been so self-absorbed and full of self-pity and anger at those moments. But I guess we'll find out someday.
Yeah, maybe we will. I think it's just part of the human process. That's what I did. That's the journey I did. I was mad about it and pitched a fit and sat down, folded my arms and said no more, gave up. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to let you sit there and sulk in that for a minute. And he does. He's a good God. He gives us grace and mercy for that. And he knows. He knows. He's created all this. He knows what we're in and what's happening. So I think there's all the grace in the world for it. But he'll definitely get you where he wants you. If again, we're all the while never letting go of the thing. There's something for me. I'm supposed to be doing something. And he'll propel you into it slowly through your own stuff, but I think probably both of us, if we would have cooperated a little bit, we've been there a little bit quicker.
For sure.
Yeah.
I had never made the connection until this conversation of how Darren, who went to school for respiratory therapy, did it for a while. I don't know that your granddaughter, Anna Lee, would have been okay without him having that knowledge that he had.
Yeah.
Even though he still worked in respiratory therapy for a while after it, but now he's moved out of that. And, that would be a crazy plot twist.
Well, he's even come to terms with that because now that he's not doing that any longer, and he was a little bitter about that too. Like, I've paid for all this education, I've got all of this, and now physically my body's not going to let me travel and do all of these things. His body literally shut him down and said, "No more. You got to come off the road." And that was a big change for him. He did the same thing, the little wallowing and self-pity, that whole process. But through the process, he's actually said that out loud. Like, what if that was the only reason why I became a respiratory therapist, was for that night to save my granddaughter's life?
Because, and I don't think it is. I know he was able to be with
he's
people through
helped.
hard things, but it's mind-blowing to think about if he wouldn't have had those skills.
But he totally agrees that God orchestrated all of that so that we would have that moment of reassurance. Because he did. I mean, he jumped straight into medical mode. He wasn't pop. He was respiratory therapist. Turned her over, shook her. She wasn't the right color, and he helped her breathe and then comforted her, and so much so that when the EMTs got there, they didn't even touch her. They're like, "Oh, you're a respiratory therapist. You know more about it than me. I'm not going to touch her." And had him take care of her while they were there. So it just brought a lot of comfort in a time when, when you're waiting on an EMT, it probably was maybe 10, 15 minutes, but it felt like 4 hours before they got there. So it was just that having him there to do that. He's like, if that was the only reason why I went through all of that, then it was worth it. Like, he's come to terms with that part of it, that, okay, the Lord had me do that for a while, and it's done, but that's the part that he's taken with him, is even if it was just for that moment, I'm fine.
That's a cool spot to reach.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I'm super proud to call you my sister.
Your much older sister.
Yeah. I'll let you go so you can go take a nap like you do. Get you some rest. I know it's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
It's about 3 o'clock.
It's time to call it a day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's fun talking with you. We'll probably continue this on at some point. But thank you.
This was fun. Thank you. Love you.
Love you.